Hey guys, welcome back to Not Your Mama's MLM podcast. This is Leah Moore, your host, and I am so sorry. It has been a hot minute since I have been on here. I can't believe it. The month of September has come and gone, and I think, maybe gotten on my podcast maybe once. Maybe. I know that I actually recorded a couple episodes, but never actually sent them out and actually got them there for you guys. But I can only do what I can do, right? We're all human, and part of being in business is being in business, right? Things get busy, times get crunches, and we have to play big or go home. We have to work on what's important when it's important. Putting out those fires sometimes does take over the rest of our lives, right? So I want to just fill you in on the month of September, and as we're going into October here shortly, it's just a few days away. We are going to get back on track. We are going to start publishing on a regular basis here again and sharing some of the amazing stuff that I have been learning, but also some of the amazing things that are happening in our business right now. So as you guys know, this month was a super busy month for me. I actually started the month off at OfferMind out in Boise, Idaho. Had an amazing 6-day trip out there by myself, was able to explore the area. It was gorgeous. It was something I'd never done before. I'd never been out to Boise, but I also met an incredible crew, which we called the OfferMind Sync, because OfferMind Sync, because one of the gentlemen who was a part of our little clique of 5 is French Canadian. And so we had a really great little mastermind that we created almost of our own. So daily at lunch, we would kind of commune and talk about the different things that we had learned and how we were going to implement into our own businesses, and or challenge each other to think bigger or to focus or to redirect where we were going. Because sometimes, we get into that squirrel mentality. We get into those learning cycles where we're like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. Let's do that. But you haven't implemented, you haven't actually put your feet to the fire, and you actually haven't done the things that you need to get done first. And now you're off on a tangent doing something else. So I know personally that is one of my biggest downfalls. So when I see it in somebody else, I really try to point that out and be like, hey, listen, I'm not getting on you, but is this where you are right now? Do you really need to learn this right now? Is this really going to help you take the next step forward? Or is this a move that's 20 steps down the way? Because if you don't have some things in play, yes, you absolutely will benefit from this, because you're going to be able to take this and they're going to help focus you, and you're going to help, be able to move on. But is this really where you are? So I love that challenge, because I actually have to tell it to myself, and I actually tell my team to come back at me with that exact same thing. Is this really where you are? Is this really what you need to be focusing on right now? And as I always say, you have to hire a coach to be a coach. You really need to have someone who can hold your feet to the fire as well. And, one of the beautiful things about being an MLM is that you have an inherent coach. If you have a great upline or a sideline or a leader, you have a great coach, somebody who's going to help you. But at the same time, you have to have people who are outside of your own industry, people who obviously have an understanding of what is going on in the industry, have an understanding of how things work. But at the same time, somebody who's outside, who's really looking at you and your business and what you're doing, not so much everything else. So I'm super excited. There's all these new opportunities coming up. But that was week 1. I mean, it was a whirlwind week, ending August and jumping right into September, getting on an airplane, literally. So, then after that, came home for a few days and was straight to work for those few days, which is also the reason why everything feels like a whirlwind, because I was in deep in terms of like getting into IT work and getting all of that stuff while I was home. So I had a little extra money to be able to take with me when I headed down to Columbus, Ohio for our annual convention. Which was fantastic. We knew there were going to be some amazing releases. We knew there was going to be some amazing things that were going to be announced while we were there. And definitely I'm looking forward to many of the new things that we get to play with. And it really, there's a couple things that happened in that case. And I guess this is kind of really what I want to talk about today, is really when things aren't what you expect and how to get more out of things when you're a bit disappointed. Because honestly, actually both the OfferMind event and my convention event were a little bit of a disappointment for me. Now, disappointment is definitely a mindset. It is all about what you take from something or give to something. You know, nothing can be everything to everyone. So it's always about how you go into something and what you're going to get out of it. So talking about that and really kind of focusing in on what does it mean and where do I go from here really is what I want to talk about today. So going back to OfferMind, I went into that event with so much anticipation. It was like the biggest blockbuster movie buildup that has ever been out there. I mean, I would probably liken it for myself. I likened it to, the latest Avengers movie, right? There was so much buildup. There was so much pressure. There was so much anticipation around what this movie was going to actually release because they showed so little of it. Now, I kind of have an idea of what I was getting into, but I also went in with a very, very open mind. I went in with that full bundle of anticipation, that full bundle of excitement and energy and just, that willingness to learn, that desire, that hunger to really take what I was going to be given and run with it. But at the end of that event, instead of feeling more excited and more focused and more driven towards what I thought I was working towards and what I had gone in with a semi game plan of, okay, well, this is where we're going. I know this. And so how is this going to help me get there? I came out of that with more confusion and frustration and almost a bit of a depression. In fact, I actually talked about this the day after. It was sort of like that. Being in the theater and doing a play and being with people and being surrounded by people who have the same mindset, who are all working towards the similar goal. When you're in the theater, that's very common. When you're on stage, you're all working towards the end production and having that wonderful thing. And then at the end of the show, when everything is done, the run is gone, you have that celebration, that celebratory moment, and then everybody dissipates. And there's this moment of emptiness where you lose that connection from everybody else. And that is actually how I felt at the end of OfferMind. I felt like I lost that connection to everybody else. And that's where a little bit of that depression came in. But the anger inside me was really from the fact that I now felt more frustrated with the information that I was given. I didn't feel like I was focused in or narrowed in or niched in or, guided anymore being at this live event and focusing and being with all these people than I had been coming in. I felt even more lost. Now, one of the beautiful things, I don't know if it's a beautiful thing, one of the cool things for me that happened is the day after the event, I was still there. And I was actually fortunate enough to happen to run into the event holder, Steve Larsen, and was able to actually kind of exchange a few words with him. And I did put it out there. I was like, I feel more frustrated now being here than I did before I got here. And he nodded. I actually was a little frustrated with this. I was like, wait a minute, you're still supposed to be like, what? I'm so sorry. And he just kind of nodded. He's like, yeah, that happens. I'm like, what? That's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to help me figure this shit out. You're not supposed to. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to yell. I also didn't mean to swear there. But you're supposed to help me figure out what I'm doing. That's why I'm paying you. That's why I'm here, right? And his words are something that kind of hit me, and I was a little frustrated with them at first, but I let them sit with me, and here we are a month later, so I can actually speak without having the frustration there. But it was like a lot of times people figure out that they're not in the right thing. And that sets them off. When you've gone through all this training, you learned all of these things, sometimes you realize that you're not in the right thing. And that is what the frustration is bubbled up from. Now, I can't say that is true for my situation, but I can certainly see how there would be a bit of truth that's held in that conversation in general. Why, after learning all these things and learning about marketing in a different way and learning how to create offers, that, whatever you were doing isn't right. that you were misfocused and misaligned. Hence, this is the reason why now that you've been given clarity, even though it doesn't seem like clarity to you, being given clarity now is even more confusing. So leaving that event, like I said, came back, got some work done, left about 5 days later, off onto another event. So the second event was my company event, our annual convention. And I did not go into that event with a very open heart. I actually went into that event very cold, very shut down, very angry, because I knew everything that was going to be taught was going to be the same stuff that I'd heard the year before and the year before that and the year before that, and every podcast and every MLM book and every, video that's out there from every MLM company that's out there. And I knew that I was going to be frustrated with the aspects of what is being taught, because it's not the direction that we are taking. It's not a 21st century approach. It's not a modern day MLMer. It's not internet savvy. Everything they're going to teach is what has worked in the past, which of course boils down to the friends and family strategy, right? Not something we like around here, not something we want to be doing. In fact, I don't want to talk to friends and family. And I've known this for an extremely long time, because my friends and family, sorry to tell you, are not as ambitious as I am. Everyone has their different levels of ambition. So my friends and family, I love them dearly, but they're not on the same level that I am. I want things that they don't necessarily have the desire to have. So that strategy has never really worked for me. And when I push to make that strategy work, but let me get off of that. I'm like, that's a whole nother podcast in itself, right, guys? But I went into the event very closed and very just, with a chip on my shoulder almost, in a way. And the very first day was exactly what I expected. It was rah, hip hoop, hooray. Here's some really cool stuff that you need to learn about yourself, and you need to be more motivated, and you need to be more excited, and you need to be hungrier, and we're going to pep you up. And that's great if motivation is something that you struggle with. But if you're a true entrepreneur, motivation is not the problem. It's results that are the problem. Because if you're getting results, motivation is never an issue. Motivation only becomes an issue when you're not getting results. So going to a giant pep rally is not something that's going to be very helpful for somebody who's actually looking for strategies and techniques and, actual result-oriented things. So I actually ended up leaving about halfway through the day, but the one thing that kept me in the event the whole time, and this was actually the reason why I put these things into place for myself, is that I created a sub-event inside the event. So as you guys know, I work with a specific product line, and I work with a specific audience. I work with a specific type of girls. And actually some of those girls are a part of the company as well. I'm trying to do this, guys. This is really, really hard for me not to say certain words and give away the company. Because as you know, this is not a pitch fest. I will not pitch to you what company I'm in. I don't care what company. This is a learning opportunity. This is for me to share and to help you to grow with your company. If you're happy with your company, great. If you're not, then hey, we can talk. But I'm not here to pitch you. This is not a blatant, outright pitch to come join my company. That's something I don't want to do, because I want this to be something that's useful for everybody. So I'm going to do my best not to slip up here. So I created this internal event inside this other event, inside the company event, where I gathered up people that I wanted to talk to. And I actually did one-on-one interviews with them using the Epiphany Bridge script, so that what I could do is I could come back and edit those and create marketing pieces for my company's products, but specifically for those that are in my industry that are doing things differently, that are learning that it's important to share stories and that it's important to create marketing and create noise around the product. And that in doing so, you are able to sell the product without selling the product. This is how the product sells itself, when you create the right strategic noise. But unfortunately, our company did not really cater to this particular individual or this particular group of individuals. although we exist within the company. So I took it upon myself to actually go out and create something strategically. We actually scheduled a photo shoot so that we could actually capture some of these moments, the interview so that we could do that. And it was just the beginning. I, created some advertising pieces, some marketing gear for the girls as well, so that we could have our own sense of community within the community of our entire company. Our company does an amazing job and has always done an amazing job of creating this family orientation so that cross lines, up lines, down lines, side lines all seem to work together. But I wanted to create even more of that in creating this sisterhood of this particular individual style of person. And so that's part of my goal. And it's only the beginning of it. I had so much fun doing it. I had so much great feedback from the girls who were actually a part of it, and had amazing feedback from girls who didn't get to know about it until during the event or partially through the event, that they were like, oh my God, I wish I had known. I would have participated. I would have loved to have been there. I would have loved to have done that. That I know that this is a part of the direction that I'm going to be taking things, because it allows me to make these larger events useful for me, and furthermore useful for other people that they just don't even know about yet. Because here I am working on creating true marketing, what it really means to be a marketer, and creating campaigns, creating the raw materials to create campaigns that are ultimately going to serve everybody, because everyone's going to end up jumping on board and using them. And this is some of the things that I'm going to talk about in some future episodes, talking about what I'm actually doing in creating these campaigns. I'm talking about the editing that we're doing. But this is how I made it through this event. And even in the subsequent days when we did the announcements, the really cool announcements of the new, launching of new countries and launching of new products and new industries that were in, moving into, things along that line, or new people that we want to address. Wow, we got some street racers out here, guys. That in itself wasn't exciting for me. I knew it was coming. I anticipated it, but it wasn't the thing that excited me. Because the other thing that I realized in doing all of this is that one of the major problems that is in MLM is every single time a new thing is launched, it redirects your focus. It redirects, and I think this is going to have to become a whole nother podcast, because we're already into about 17 minutes, guys, and I've kind of made my point here, but we can't continually redirect our focus based on the incentives that's there. We can't continually redirect our focus based on a new launch of a product or a new launch, because every single time you do that, you're starting over again. You can't create momentum in your business when you're constantly starting from the bottom again and trying to create noise around something new. Enough said about that. But here I am sitting now a week out from, or two weeks out or 3 weeks out from one event, another week out from another event, actually 2 weeks out from the last event. And I'm able to look back at both of them, and I'm able to see, how the anticipation of one led me to depression, and the non-anticipation, I'm not sure which word I'm supposed to use here, but the really loathing of going into the second event kind of helped me create something that was even more beneficial to me in the long run, or will be more beneficial to me in the long run. And, one of the things that also caught me, guys, and this is kind of another side tangent here, is that I love the fact that we, as companies, they usually spotlight or highlight people who are doing really great in the company. And you look at these people and you're like, okay, what are you doing? Give me your secrets. Share with me. What is it that I need to learn from you? And sadly, as I said before, all the information that was passed along, all of the stuff that was shared was the same stuff that you find in every single MLM book that's out there, from every single MLM teacher who's out there. And it was just really depressing. So that being said, guys, I want to invite you over again to the next One Funnel Away challenge. If you don't know about this, I've talked about this in the past, guys, but it is seriously one of the best pieces of marketing training for the least amount of money I've ever seen to really change the way you think about doing marketing in your business. And, it is one of those things that is going to help you to understand what it means to become a true marketer. It is a network marketer or MLMer, a multi-level marketer, and how to actually take your systems and create online automated systems to do your automated recruiting, to do your automatic sales funnels, to do your follow-up automation with your teams and your customers and all of those things. So there's so many amazing things, guys. That is the next challenge actually is coming up, because I'm going to publish this one right away. The next challenge is actually coming up on Monday, starting September 30th. But if you're listening to this after that, go ahead and head over to leahmoore.com/MLM-OFA-challenge to find out when the next challenge is heading. That's my link, guys. I bribe you to go ahead and join the challenge through my link. When you do that, you get a whole bunch of other bonuses that I have for you. But you have to go and do the challenge, guys, because it will literally rock the way that you do your business. I 100% guarantee. Hope you guys got something out of that today. I will talk to you soon. Bye.